All right. Okay, welcome everybody. This is the Stacks working group call number 78 in governance. Yeah, we usually go through a few stand-ups here. Thank you kindly everybody for joining us. Anybody who may see the recording. Um, Over the last few weeks myself, we've been going over some of the reorg and getting started in uh, some of the governance flows and the tooling in our Advocates DAO that some of you guys may be familiar with. Um, and yeah, so in addition to reorganizing exactly what the flow looks like in terms of where all of the dialogue happens, and we have some new clan channels designated for folks that we've spoken to in previous meetings. Now this has been up and going for the last couple of weeks. We have some dedicated reps that have been falling in to the channels and getting things started and sparking some dialogue for folks. We have two small issues, so there won't be so much dialogue this time around as much as just making sure of the flow works in some of the changes we've made. But we should be wrapping this up this week, hopefully, and getting into some more meatier, you know, 2.1 upgrade SIP stuff to bring into that flow. Hopefully, with some dedicated clan members, in addition to the folks that we've seen getting into things so far. So yeah, we'll probably get into a little bit more of this today, going over some of the things that we've seen so far. And yeah, we've also been heads down with making sure that we get enough emails out across the local chapters and folks coming into the Stacks ecosystem. We were originally aiming for about 60. We got about double that out now when it comes to uh, uh, just getting the emails out. We have about 50% open rate and about 20 folks coming in, it looks like so far, over the last couple of weeks. And so this has been nice. We're also coordinating amongst the big friends to ensure that these folks have warm welcomes as they come in. So this has been a big goal of ours over the last month or so, and it's been nice to see this coming into form. And I'm sure we'll be learning more and more as we go. But yeah, that'll be all for me, so I don't drag this out too much. I know we want to get into some things on our mind when it comes to polishing up the governance flow and making sure everything is as tight as possible with what we've seen in the last week. But yeah, I'll open it up for Hero and Haas or any SIP stuff or any other governance stuff that you guys want to touch on. And we'll get right into the action items or some of the stuff we've been wanting to talk to. If you guys don't have anything for us, we can get right into it. Let's start with where we kind of, before coming into the meeting, we were kind of preoccupied with what's going on here. This is some important work we've been doing JPEG wise, myself and Hero. That's kind of where we left off the conversation before we got into the recording, guys. But yeah, myself and Hero, and just trying to confirm some things for the process of the flow and this JPEG diagram that we're trying to get together. We came up against some older things that we probably already discussed between myself and Hobbs. We just wanted to confirm in terms of what's being implemented. One of the things that we discussed in these previous reorgs mentioned in these updates below is a gating of certain channels that are important for our governance tools. So in this case, it's our active issues or draft proposals channel and our formal proposals channel. And so Haas, right now, the thing that we can point to as a case where we've seen the gates not work is actually your post. I think right as soon as we started the active issues, you posted into the thread, if I'm not mistaken, right? The active issues thread. Whether or not, the turtle rep should, just go ahead and pass this through. And we started a little dialogue amongst ourselves there, and other people started hopping in, and they can, all of us can write inside of that active issues thread when it should only be the reps. And so that's what we're trying to to get across. I'm not mistaken, right? It's right inside the active issues thread. The one of
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I can check now if you want. You
All
mean
right.
like when Dan hopped in, right?
Yeah, Dan hopped in, you had Doc hop in, and even Mistiff. Like, so some of these people, right, would have
Yeah, that's in active issue thread for sure.
yeah.
Yes. And Atlas, Misfit,
Mhm.
Doc.
Yeah.
I can hop in.
Yeah. I mean, I've already in somewhere else, because I didn't want to keep writing in that thread, because I think it can lend to confusion of where things are supposed to happen. Because it should only be the reps writing in there. Like Dan should be the only one allowed to write in there. And the only thing that should be written in there is really a summary of what's going on in Dan's clan, so that Merrick can just look at that thread and then apply any changes, modifications that need to be applied.
Yeah, about this thing, I think because I just want to do a super simple JPEG. That's my purpose, and that my audience is primarily for the new people.
Mhm.
And obviously understand the audience. Also, there's an audience of the reps. But I just want to make sure like you understand my goal, my personal goal to help from this perspective is to help everybody else understand, not really just help the reps. Obviously, that's a must. And inadvertently just indirectly through the process, I realized like this actually got to do with the perms. So since Haas is basically the perm guy, you understand how exactly it flows. I'm just trying to simplify that process. So I want to state that JPEG it's less than 50% finished, I would say. So I do propose we three get together properly. And I think that's the best way to really hash things out from the JPEG perspective, but also the perms perspective. What do you guys think?
Yes, for sure, for sure. Yeah, I think we can knock it out a lot of it right now, actually. How's what I was describing earlier? Does that make sense? I saw you in the chat a little bit.
I think there might be a misunderstanding. So I'm gonna ask, were you talking about threads in active issues? Because these are open to the advocates.
Yeah, that thread and active issue should be gated for only reps. And
let me explain, Haz. In our mind, at least maybe the first version of this flow was that everybody could hop in ish, at least from a Discord permission wise. But actually, what actually should or shouldn't happen is that not everybody can hop into the active issue section in the thread. Only 6 people, only in the whole of advocates, only 6 people can post there. That's it.
Hero, okay, let me put this another way, because I think that something is not clear enough to me. Do you mean the thread for each issue or the whole channel? Because the whole channel is gated, like messages in the channel. Nobody can send
each issue inside the thread, not just the channel itself, but the subthread, the thread itself. When you open a conversation.
Okay, no, yeah, that's not gated. It should both be only the reps, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, now I understand you guys.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully will this cause a problem with the emoji reactions though? Will this take away the ability for folks to emoji react?
No. It only prevents
typing.
Writing new messages or typing new messages into threads and the channel.
Yeah.
Why do we even need to emoji react there if nothing is happening really?
Well, because it's still it's the prelims, and before we go into formal proposals, you still get this. It still gives the broader advocates members a chance to show that the reps are accurately representing what's going on, so that we never end up in a case where in formal proposals there's we have more than the 1 time out of 10, right? It could quickly go to 8 out of 10 if there's misrepresentation before we get to the formal proposals, right? Because then there's going to be all the more chance of somebody saying, hey, no, I never agreed to this. We have to go into.
Yeah, but wouldn't you do that in your own clan gender channel?
Yes, but you have to remember the active issues is where everybody is coming together. So there may be a lapse, right, in where the rep should have brought something into the clan, into their clan from another clan, right, and considered this position, but it didn't happen, right? There's the off chance that can happen, and so yeah, the emoji reactions are just there to just ensure that there's actual consensus throughout the flow. Otherwise,
do you mean like a dissent opportunity to object or dissent, or what's the goal? What are you trying to say? I like it or I don't like it, or what do you want people to say or express, or have the opportunity to express? What objections or?
Yes, it's the same as formal proposals. It's the same in active issues as well. They both have the emoji prompts that pop up. And this gives a chance for just to ensure representation has been accurate.
Well, then that means we need like something like a thumbs down, right? It's not like eyes. What does I even mean in terms of objections?
Well, the eyes is there for PolicyKit to know that you were in the thread, that you actually saw what was going on. I
don't know about that. I think we need to rethink it a little bit. But anyway, we're getting into the weeds. We can do it in different session though.
Yeah.
I think it's useful to talk it through 3 of us so we can actually solve it, because last session we had without us, we couldn't solve some of the stuff. So yeah, how about we get together sometimes?
Yeah, we can get together on some of the on the other things around the other than the active issues as well, or the permissions around it. But yeah, I think right now we pretty much knocked it out where Haas understands what we meant now. Yeah, so Haas, we're clear, right? Active issues thread and formal proposal thread should both be gated for only reps. And we're still good in terms of emoji reactions and things. So no, thank you kindly, Haas. I'm glad we got to touch base on this. And Hiro, thanks for the clarity. So yeah, if there's any other clarity there, we can touch on it, but I'll get back to the regularly scheduled program here, if not. Yeah, I don't know how much we have to say about some of this. I know we may have spoken on it last time, Hiro, right? Enough. Where you're kind of...
I think it's a long-term unresolved issue, unless you guys consider it as a resolved issue, then I don't have much to say. But if it's a long-term unresolved compromise, if you want to call it, like we never had true representation on the board in one way or another through one person or multiple people, then I just think that I don't know how much I can actually help out, but yeah, I don't have the solution, but I do feel like, not just for myself, if you look at people for like Ragnar or other people, they are all saying similar things, that it feels a bit hidden behind the curtains, what goes on in the boardroom, that people, well, having a voice versus observation, it can be two different levels, but we don't even have either. So do we consider that as a good governance is the question we should ask ourselves.
Yeah, no, I think where we left off on it was pretty good. Like, just moving without the grant as much as we can with people who can dedicate, commit themselves. And
that grant's been rejected.
Yeah, that's what I said, that moving without it, I think is where we left off, is you just pinpointing the urgency that should be attached to this, and try to rally, those of us who can dedicate whatever the time or effort that they can. And hopefully it evolves into something that can be compensated. But
well, I don't think it's about compensation though, because if somebody's willing to go up for free.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's about compensation. It's about suitability, or perhaps it's just a no-no. No matter about suitability, then I think needs to be clear, I guess. And if it's a no-no, doesn't matter if you're the most prolific, experienced legal person. At least that we know where to draw the line. Whether that lines get moved in the future, I think is a separate question. But where's the line now? We don't know where the line is, because it's just wishy-washy. Oh, we're rejecting this, but do we actually want people to have it on? Is it what's missing? Is it the suitability, the experience? Okay, so if it's that, then we can do something about it. But I don't think there's even the requirement or criteria laid out clearly that we can go out and find someone. Or if it's just a no-no, we just leave it there and let's just do something else. We figure out a different route. We don't have to, we do our own community board meeting without the foundation, So it's just knowing where's the line in the sand.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and compensation shouldn't be a barrier for somebody who just gets into it. And yeah, it may not be for somebody else other than Ragnar, or somebody who's interested in seeing this through. So we can leave it in these sessions. Be sure to get folks into these sessions that we may have in mind, and then when this comes up, we can have some good discussion on starting something up.
Where do you guys think, because like you've been here for a long time and seen all the evolution about this specific topic, where do you guys recommend things go next, like actual practical stuff?
Yeah, I would think it's finding that person that's okay with with committing to something like this without the compensation. I don't think it's impossible. And yeah, I would imagine that would be a better first step than even trying to get a grant going, like this issue kind of put forward first, like kind of put compensation first. And that blocks us from even seeing the criteria, like you were saying, because there's not even an attempt without the compensation. So the first step is to try and see if any criteria get squeezed out of the attempt. So I think that's a solid first step, is to just find the personnel that would be willing to take this on and ensure that there's a solid attempt, that involves the foundation to whatever extent, that gives us some feedback as to what is done wrong, and what can be done right. But yeah, this way there's no blocker to getting the attempt out there. But I think that's,
so where's the criteria listed out?
The criteria, I don't like, I don't know if there was any response to the grant that was real specific. Have you seen anything? Because that would be one of the first instances of the criteria, but without an attempt, which is my point, that may be what squeezes out the most criteria from the foundations side of things, is like having an active try, and the feedback from that active try. But yeah, let me look at this grant and see.
I just think this has been for so long. Again, it's like another thing that's long-term unresolved. Do we actually have the will in the community to want to solve it? If not, let's move on to the next item, you know, like, but it's like, it's not like a unimpactful item, you know, if out of many, like, you know, this tools to help you work together, all this other stuff, this might actually possess higher impact than any other tools that, you know, in the management items.
Yeah. This I'm actually looking. Can you see the screen? I'm actually looking at the. Yeah. So it looks like one of the main there was no criteria that came out of this other than you know, there's actually zero criteria that came out of this, because it wasn't denied because of the lack of criteria met. It was denied because of the lack of funding. So
so maybe he should reply with zero money, and maybe he can get it, because it's not that he's not good enough. I'm just trying to think of ways to resolve this. Oh, we just agree that's not resolve it, and we are okay with that.
Yeah, no, I think we should still be trying, because I you know, your point about governance, if we're being honest about this, right? Like there should be an honest attempt at making this type of important connection. And then, yeah, you're right. And then if it's a no-no, like you're saying, then you know, then we go about our business another way. But yeah, this is there's no real outright messaging or signaling of it being a no-no yet. So we have to, it's still on us to try. So yeah, maybe we hit up Ragnar and see if he still has time. Looks like that response also included the fact that he also has another grant going, so he maybe heads down with that now.
Yeah, if it's not a no-no, I think it's just important to have not gray area criteria where we don't know where we do. We just need to have clear criteria. Okay, so it's not a no-no. It's a maybe, might be, slim chance, yes. Okay, slim chance, yes. Criteria is, you know, something.
Yeah. I think that'll come from some tries. So whether we'll start with Ragnar and see if he's still up for it. If not, we'll look other places. Okay. There's nothing else there. I know this is a little bit of the same. Yeah. Yeah, I know it's a little bit of the same. So we'll go on to action items. And we talked about the stacks decision making already a little bit. We can get a little bit more into it if we want to. This DWork tasks is, I guess, last been updated in the beginning of September. And I think this is the most important piece of where we left off with DWork, just for a refresher for even us here, is like we can, you know, for as long as the pool lasts, you know, use this and the credit, and, you know, even without the pool, and be a way of folks accumulating some both reputation, even potential monies for the DWork. But until then, it's mainly just a way of nudging people in certain directions as they come in to the ecosystem. So we'll likely be getting with algorithm, maybe even techie, on some more dev specific tasks that may nudge people in certain directions. I know Rust SDK is something important coming up for folks, you know, trying to contribute to the core blockchain. And there's documentation around this that would be really important. There's other things, you know, that algorithm may be able to speak to in terms of what devs need, whether it's documentation or other means, right? One of the things coming up is a dev team for Big Friends. So this could be, you know, the type of tasks that we know are needed and very impactful for the community that get turned into what makes up our D work, you know, for some proper nudges. And this could also inform what should be likely another group of folks that does what we saw Friedrich and other folks do throughout Data Things, which is kind of not only nudge folks of, to make the data thing that much more clearer, or actually make it value aligned, which we've seen, but also nudge folks, towards things that we know are that much more impactful and things that we know that much more needed by the community, rather than just completely subjective or going out into a void type of contributions. This is a slippery slope, we know, and we had a little discussion with Jenny about it, myself and Haas, because we don't want a concentration of motivation in a sense, right? Or the things that, are deemed impactful or deemed needed in a static sense, right? Without giving a chance for certain things to grow, needs to evolve, or motivations to evolve, can concentrate things around a very technical space, for example, and negate some other important community spaces. So it'll be a delicate balance, but it's something that we should keep in mind in the context of D work. But I'll continue unless there's something else here. We're okay on time. This is a Doxify theme from Jason. Just allows us to change up the GitHub pages that's connected to this repo. I have a lot of updates to the GitHub pages when it comes to getting some of these recordings up there in a nice way that I should have done soon enough. There's this here that we discussed earlier. I don't think I left anything out. It's possible for folks to join us now in what is an active reorg of the flow, which is nice to see. We have all but one rep that is pretty active and starting some conversation. We had Good Kitty frame the women's channels in a very nice way in terms of getting some women's voices into governance. It was really nice. We have the current proposals that are just simply name changes of the channel, probably turn from active issues to formal or to drafts proposals. I had a little bit of discussion from folks saying that they like the name change, which is nice. And yeah, we
also consolidation. I think it's important. Many channels unused, and when new people comes, I think they'll get confused. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I feel pretty strongly about that. Not just the names, but having things that are perhaps even just a bit hidden or archived, but bring it back in the future as and when.
Yeah. I know it gets choppy, whatever Sleepy has to deal with in terms of the limits of channels or archive channels and things like this. So we might have to just flat out delete some, but if we have to, we have to, because I agree, it can get pretty messy, and somebody always has a new idea for a new channel, and including yourself, Hero. I think you had one the other day, so it's a delicate balance. But I'm looking forward to really honing in on adding folks to the clans as well. Something that we never really let up off. I think I'll have some help from Desiree in this, hopefully, and this will be important for the 2.1 upgrade dialogues that can get started as soon as we're done with these current proposals, which I'm trying to get done this week. Pinged Kaylee, and we'll try to coordinate a call with the reps to get things all fleshed out in terms of the standard of procedure, which will be, I think, an iteration of our meeting whenever we can have it, you guys, around the same stuff, where we can kind of just get clear on any of this. Needs to be included in the JPEG or the standard of procedure actual document. But I'll I'll shut up now. There's nothing here. Let's see.
What's the 2.1 dialogue little item?
Yes, this here. So it's a reference to
Yeah.
It's a reference to the upcoming proposal, right? Well, we'll actually be going into draft proposals. We've had it for some time now, but with the reorg, we kind of put up these two first proposals to make sure that the flow works with the reorg. But the main thing that I'm looking forward to is getting folks just yet another place to dialogue about 2.1. Maybe it's mainly folks who don't know about it, in advocates, is maybe one of the roles that it can play for now. But like I said in previous meetings, Hero, earlier in the week, the role I really see it playing is a unique filtering of consensus, and then giving that much more potential for smooth consensus. I noted, as the GovCab, we kind of maybe unnecessarily, but nonetheless, we read through a lot of the dialogues attached to the 2.1 upgrade and the freeze discussions and things like this, and noted a little bit of back and forth, right, with folks having certain things that they felt were more important to be implemented than others. And I also noted even in the higher level of the SIP structure, right, we had some back and forth in the meetings and in the SIPs calls where things are still going forward fine in the SIPs, but there's one of the things that we are looking forward to the most in this indigenous modes of organization in terms of structure is smoothness across personalities and dynamics, would otherwise be power dynamics or other social dynamics. The autonomy that's in the clans, the ability to come to position in your clan and then come to position with other clans that have already had their autonomy preserved, means that there's less opportunity for too much conflict or too much choppiness that maybe in these cases didn't stop anything. SIPs are still going fine, but in other cases, maybe, it just lends itself to opposing viewpoints coming together when otherwise they wouldn't, right? So whereas now it may be just people coming into understanding what the upgrade is all about. In the future, these type of discussions will be important for that reason. But
right. So if I summarize, because I'm just trying to get whether what you are proposing, the dialogue there. Yes, we're seeing different dialogues. Are you saying we should have our internal advocates dialogue, or are you encouraging different people to go out and speak about upgrade, giving their feedback? I'm just trying to understand, is it a so-called quote unquote internal advocates dialogue, or is it an external in the GitHub and the Stacks forum on Twitter? What are you proposing?
I think the idea is that it kind of bleeds out into the external once it starts with the internal.
Right. Okay.
Just because, I know that's one of the ultimate goals of your SIPs residency is, once folks are aware of what's going on and things like this, you actually want them to get out and doing something, voting, what have you. So this is the idea, is that it can.
I would say so.
It could supplement that as well. Yeah,
I would say so. I think there's probably just talking about a specific point, right? I think there might be different levels, because we have the basic level is informing people. Once people are informed, at least become aware, and they can take the next step, become self-educated or externally educated a little bit more, and start having that dialogue. Whether internal or external, I do think the next level up stuff is, because it's easy to have dialogue. I can call up anybody from any part of the community, cross clans. They don't know they're in clans, but I can go across dialogue with anybody. Currently, there's no stopping me, right?
Yeah.
Including on GitHub. But I think what you ideally would like to achieve from your perspective is actually the next advanced level up, where different people are more or less dialoguing at first in their own retrospective plans ish in the wider whole of Stacks. It is a little bit not the easiest thing to do, provided Advocates is small right now. But it is a evolution of where you begin today, i.e. the dialogue could happen and education could happen internally at Advocates first. And when we actually see the real results or demonstrate the actual impact and results, that will be incentive for wider Stacks community to dialogue in the way that you envisaged. So I'm actually, because quite often we think blue sky, but we need to build the road to get there, so to speak. How are you gonna persuade somebody in just a completely random NFT project, not even advocates, just speculator? How are you able to get him onto some clan into the flow of the dialogue that we wish, that we envisage, that you guys work so hard in Advocates? So I think of it as a step-by-step process. You build out this small, but eventually you could get there, possibly. Yeah, no, I'm just thinking like, how do we bridge that gap, practically speaking? Because we can think all we want, but it doesn't, it's not gonna happen just out of thin air. So how do we actually get that? But back to what you said originally. So yes, I do agree very much. Like perhaps what we need in Advocates is actually to have the proper internal dialogue about the Stack 2.1, and maybe you use it as a experiment. Why not? Because currently we have SIP 2.1 is the biggest out of all out there. Probably apart from mining proposal, which are both the super impactful stuff that potentially require hard forks. So these SIPs are really critical to have dialogues on, but it's not organized in the greater Stacks community. So I'm just throwing ideas, right? What if you actually get a session together inside Stacks Advocates, have the 6 different clans as you wish to walk through that process, i.e. somebody needs to raise an actual SIP active issue, sorry, SIP 2.1 active issue, and have it their autonomous dialogue. Maybe they should arrange a session on their own clan gender to talk about it. You take this as a case study, if you like, and do it one step at a time. And then you can write about this case studies, because you might know it, I might know it, but nobody else knows it. And you need to shout about the case study that actually we had in Stacks Advocate this dialogue through this clan organization system of dialoguing between each other, one another, autonomously at times, cross clans at times, and we came to an amazing compromises at the end, or I wouldn't want to say compromises, but result.
Yeah.
And by showing that to the world, based on the case study like 2.1, is what is going to get the buy-in from different people, rather than just talking about it. It's not going to get the buy-in.
No, yes, for sure, for sure. No, I love the framing of getting it down in some type of impact report. And yes, this has been the idea of getting it into, you know, what draft proposals or active issues, and getting it through. But also, you know, we discussed, I think earlier in the week or last week, the ability to funnel some of the folks coming in from chapters into some of these important dialogues as well. But we can also get more broad to facilitate the dialogue as well. But no, the framing of the impact report is very important. And yeah, I will probably get this up on the PM board as soon as possible.
Yeah, I agree, because otherwise it's like a bit vague. Okay, so we talk about it unofficially, just randomly in one of those channels. It's not gonna show the material differences. So why not raise an actual? And in fact, we need to do it now, because the voting is in roughly two weeks, maybe a little bit.
Yeah, this is why I was hoping to get the current proposals that we have out of the way this week, and get the 2.1 SIP active issue up as soon as that one's out of there. So yeah, this is where we'll actually, you know, these two were mainly just to see the flow and get it locked in, reps locked in, and then we really want to see what it can do with this 2.1 dialogue. Yeah.
Right. So when are you raising the SIP 2.1? Because I think before you raise that, we want to nail down the JPEG and nail down the perms, so that when people actually do the SIP 2.1 active proposal, whatever, it's gonna flow the way it should be. Otherwise, what you don't want is when people are using the flow, people get confused during the dialogue, I would say. So I'll probably move the JPEG, I mean, just, you know, in our head, up above 2.1 personally.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, we'll try to get it done as soon as probably get it up as soon as possible. We'll have one more round of Desiree making sure that everybody thinks they've had sufficient dialogue. Actually seen a decent amount of dialogue for what the issues are. And after that, we'll just make sure that it goes into formal proposals. We'll do one more check that everything is good, and get it through. It shouldn't be too long, as Haas mentioned before. The only reason why it's been this long is, you know, we just really I wanted to see that we had some dedicated reps, right? Mainly. And so, yeah, I think we're pretty good. Hopefully you have some response from Kaylee today, and we can get that up and going as soon as possible. And yeah, we'll double check that the JPEG is good before we actually get the active issues in there.
Awesome.
All right. Let's see. Well, about 9 minutes ahead. And that was it. That's pretty much it. All right. Well, thank you guys. So it's good to see you guys and to get deep into these weeds of you know, all these different projects we got going on. Yeah, I think we can focus on SIPs a little bit more now, you know, with I think a lot of help now with the onboarding team and things like this, and big friends and coordination and things like this, falling into some nice rhythms with the folks that are already trickling in. So be able to put some focus on, you know, structuring that, you know, making sure that the SIP dialogue doesn't, you know, isn't as small as this dialogues that we have now. But
yeah, I mean, it's yeah, definitely. And maybe I'll report from my side, my stand up, if you like, is that so give you the greater context that 2.1 is the doc SIP 15 is being written up. However, the codes are not finished. So they've written a document, but what needs to back it up is not completed yet. But the devs are working on it. But people can read that doc from now. And, you know, if they have any thoughts, if they don't have any thought, it's also fine. They are trusting others to make the decisions, but it's better almost if everybody can read it. So that's what's going on. And the CAPs currently this week, I don't know about you guys, governance, I haven't heard much. If you're getting together, the technical CAPs and economics CAP are all getting together as we speak. Yeah, so that from a CAP, for those who don't know, is consideration advisory board for the audience at home listening to this call. But anyways, the experts hopefully are also reviewing and vetting it as additional feedback to the community, and hopefully approving it and moving that along the SIP process itself. And the SIP process states that all three CAPs need to basically give the approval before it can move on to the next stage. If the CAPs do not agree amongst themselves, we could be talking about potential delays, which, you know, if it needs, then it needs. But yes, so it's important to have the dialogues and to read the actual SIP for all the CAP members. And hopefully by the end of the week or beginning of next week, sometimes it should be done by the 31st, all the CAPs should give an answer. Yes, so 31st is the official deadline for all the approvals or decisions by the CAPs. And from then, I think the co-deps need to clean up some stuff, and we are rolling out the ecosystem DAO method of voting, which is slightly different to last year, as an additional to last year's voting. So that's happening as well. And that will be, people can start to vote roughly mid-November. That's the plan. So hopefully people are educated, informed from now till mid-November. They still have like roughly a few weeks or a month of voting period. So they can still get educated and still can have the dialogue during the voting period. But yeah, from now till when the vote ends are basically the critical period for people to have their voice heard one way or another, through commenting or through voting itself. So that's sort of what's going on.
Okay, yeah, this is interesting to you know, if there's like, if any steam gets picked up again, right, or we see any back and forth pop up, right, like, because that's possible too, right, like with all of this time still, like leading up to when the voting starts, and you know how much the voting period lasts, there can still be like, you know, discussion sparks that happen, right, in terms of what should be implemented, what shouldn't, and it's likely too late already at that point because you're voting for or against at this point. But it would be a nice place to like calm down tensions, right, to send folks to advocates whenever we see tensions rise, which, you know, could get choppy, but you also get smoother, have an opportunity to get smoother. But this is something that popped up as you were talking in terms of the full timeline that we have and all the possibilities of once people get more informed, right, it might pop up more things. I know the people who have the most back and forth are usually the people involved in either the implementation or impacted by the implementations. But yeah, there should be some broader discussion that pops up.
Yeah, I mean, that's why one of the reasons why there has been actually more community members on the CAP of technical CAP is to have those dialogue. Because imagine if everybody on the technical CAPs are from Hero and from Trust Machine or Foundation, there will be no dialogue, right? And when there's no dialogue, it's actually not a good sign when it comes to this. And we want people to have the dialogue and have their voice heard, right? So yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, man. Thanks for the stand up. I think it was right on time. And yeah, we'll try to get together. We'll touch base with Haas and we'll get into the weeds of the flow and all of this for the if not for just for the JPEG, just for some peace of mind between us and some being able to pass it along.
Peace of mind? What?
Yeah.
Peace of mind. What
Yeah.
peace of mind do we need? What?
Yeah, in terms of just whenever we do come together and just get solid on what the flow is supposed to be, it always
Oh, right. Yeah.
It's
I mean, yeah, I think you have it in your head. Like you have it like picture right there. And it's helping the rest of us understand and implement that what's in your head. I think because Haas also didn't know people shouldn't be commenting in the thread. So me too, actually. I mean, before our last session, because I know version 1, everybody could comment, but all the reps can post. Should be the one posting. So yeah, I think we just need. It'll be confusing without getting these details down. So we need to make sure every channel we know who can comment, every thread who cannot comment. It needs to be written out. There needs to be a hard rule for that. In active issue and in formal and in whichever relating to governance. I think it's pretty important so that everybody is on the same page. Yeah.
All right. I'll stop the recording now and we'll head off. Thank you kindly, everybody. Thank you, Hiro. See you guys soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.